Hello, and thanks for checking out the video. I've been trying to camp using natural materials or natural fibres as much as possible, and avoiding synthetic fibres as much as possible, trying to do like what you'd call, I suppose, a zero plastic camping. The problem is it comes with a lot of weight. Natural fibres, they're a lot heavier than the super light modern synthetics. So what I've been doing the last few months is trying to cut down the load, cut down the pack size. Seems to me the only way that I can get it reasonably comfortable, because I like to hike in to the camp, have a bit of a day's hiking. Nothing majorly, just to do that in comfort. I just don't like a heavy pack. So I've got it down to, you probably can't see what I've got on my back, but it's basically a small military haversack. I weighed this pack just when I left the house earlier today, and it came in at 10 kilograms, which is I think about 22 pounds, something like that. Probably some people, in the world of lightweight camping and hiking and mountain running, think that's not really very good. That's not really a very light pack. But when you're dealing with natural fibres, you're quite restricted on what you can use. And I'm sure some of these mountain racing snakes can stay out for a day and a night on 7 kilograms or less probably. But for me, 10 kilograms is usable, doable. Bearing in mind that I've got a litre of water in that pack, so that's another kilogram, isn't it? And food, obviously. Obviously packing out the knife, bury the knife in the pack, something important to do. The food and the water will deplete over the next sort of 18-20 hours that I'm out, and make for a lighter hike out anyway. I'm also carrying 850 mils of water on my belt, a military bottle that just hangs nicely. It's got a wool covering, so it reduces the friction, it doesn't bounce around, it bounces around, doesn't seem to rub, doesn't seem to cause any problems, so I can distribute some weight onto my belt. And some people might ask, well, why don't you put your knife on your belt as well, get the weight off your shoulders and get the weight out of the pack. But of course, as you all well know, it's UK knife laws changed a few years ago, and you shouldn't be carrying knives around, and it's important because the rules were changed for good reasons. It seems every week perhaps someone is killed in the UK, some kind of knife crime, and it's invariably young people, very sad and destroying families' lives. So the knife rules are there for a good reason, but certain sports it's difficult because a knife is almost integral to the actual thing you do. Camping, for example, sports divers, they're some of the knives that, for diving are very sharp, very serrated, quite large, incredibly strong. They're essential for safety and survival under the water, to cut yourself free, for example. I don't know how these sports divers get on carrying around their kit, when they're travelling. But if you can't follow the letter of the law, you've got to try and follow the spirit of the law. So, a fixed blade knife should be buried deep in the pack, very inaccessible to yourself and hopefully to anyone else, the East German Plaschpalatka, a sheepskin rug. The Plaschpalatka is a lean-to configuration, but also using it as the ground sheet as well, and that's how that little haversack brings the whole lot. This is what you get for your 10 kilograms. Not a lot, but enough to see you through the night or two. A couple of extra bits up there. The wool jumper was actually inside the haversack as well when I weighed it at 10 kilograms, about 22 pounds. So another little item that you might be wearing and reduce the weight of the actual pack, the weight on your shoulders. Anyway, time for tea. I know that YouTube is a place where people can exchange ideas, and the things that they're getting up to, other people can look at and see if they can take bits from it. It's a community that's sort of free advice really for each other. I think that's why people tend to do videos. And but I just wanted to mention this particularly unusual setup where you've got a small fire very close to the shelter and the bedding, and it's because of the fact that I've got a small fire very close that I can reduce the weight and the pack size right down, and still come out on, you know, midwinter days like this, where tonight it's not going to be particularly cold, say down to about 4 degrees Celsius or centigrade. Not sure what that is in Fahrenheit, but it's not that cold for a UK, southern England anyway, southern England night. But it's still pretty cold, and I'm a very cold sleeper, and that sort of temperature would really set me off into sort of hypothermia mode really. But because I've got things the way they are, it actually warms up this little area, so thereby I can get away with just half a wool blanket. It's worked for the last few weeks, and I seem to get away with it. It's a disturbed night, as it usually is when you're wild camping. It's normally noises, and I think there'll be a lot of noises tonight because this wonderful bit of woodland is alive with deer. It's amazing, and lots of other strange noises as well, other wildlife. But so it's going to be a disturbed night. But the point is, to keep a small fire going, you're going to have to be up pretty much every hour. Not up every hour, but you're going to have to be loading more fuel onto it every hour. The advantage is that you can cut right down on your weight, and when you're using natural materials, that's so important. Big disadvantage is you're going to have a disturbed night. But with regards to the swapping of ideas, you know, if anyone was to watch any one of my videos and see this kind of configuration, you know, I just hope that everyone appreciates that there is a danger there. You know, when you've got a fire very close to the shelter and your bedding, you know, the potential dangers are clear for all to see. But if you are doing it with natural fibres, you do have a big advantage. Natural fibres are much more suitable around an open fire. You know, they can throw off sparks and things. They don't melt and grab a hot ember and melt a hole. You know, it's got half a chance of perhaps it might just go out or bounce down the canvas without causing too much damage. So natural fibres, wool, canvas, cotton canvas, you know, it gives you a bit of an advantage, but still anything is flammable when it's hot enough, you know. And I don't know if they put fire retardants in some of this older kit, but for example, if anyone was doing this with a modern, you know, the typical bushcrafters DD 3x3 tarp, and getting a fire this close to it, they're most likely to end up with holes in it, and possibly they might, I don't know what kind of fire retardants the manufacturers put into the synthetic fibres, but you know, I'd like to think they put some in. But yeah, the dangers are very clear. So I think you've just got to realise that you've got to play it safe. And for example, a few weeks ago, my heavier Plaschpalatka actually took a little bit of a beasting from the fire. In fact, it was a damage beyond repair really. I'll try and get it up on this video and show what damage was caused, but basically in the middle of the night or in the early hours of the morning, I rolled over to find a smouldering small piece of log, you know, actually resting on the Plash Palactica right by my wool rug here and right by the wool blanket. And of course at that point it had smouldered a massive hole within the Plash Palactica, and as I say, that one's probably now beyond repair. You know, the wool, nothing caught alight. That could be down to natural fibres or just pure dumb luck. You've got more of a chance with natural fibres, and also wool does give you a little bit of a smoke alarm type scenario, really, because it absolutely stinks when it starts to burn or smoulder, wool. So I'd like to think that if you're bedding, if you're using natural fibres and your bedding started to catch alight or to start to smoulder, the stench would wake you up. Who knows? You know, that would be one hopeful thing. The other thing is when you're not wrapped up in a plastic sleeping bag, but you've got a blanket thrown over you or just wrapped around you, I think, you know, in an emergency, if things got, you know, if the whole lot caught light, you've got half a chance of jumping out and making your escape. Whereas if you're zipped up into a more modern sleeping bag, you know, there's going to be a bit of a delay there. If the bag, for example, caught alight, God forbid, whether they put fire retardants, I think they probably do on sleeping bags as an added precaution, but anything burns when it's hot enough, and if your sleeping bag caught light, you wouldn't want to be zipped up in it. You know, you'd want to be able to get out real quick. And, you know, if you've just got in my case, just half a woolen blanket, okay, it's a real struggle with the cold, but I can up and leg it pretty quick if I have to. So if anyone ever watches any of my videos, and they perhaps thought that they might like to try something similar to this, what I learnt from that fateful night when I woke up next to a smouldering log, was that I think the log had tumbled down off the fire, and because I'd very untidily left my stack of wood around the fire, the log, instead of dropping down into this sort of area, had managed to bounce right across the pile of logs, or rolled, and ended up over on the side of the bedding. So I just make a point, and perhaps anyone else trying anything similar, make a point of leaving a gap here. So any of these logs decide to, that's hot, any of these logs decide to bounce out, they're not going to hit anything, you know, like another log or anything, stone or anything like this, which is going to assist them in carrying them across to the bedding. You know, there's like a fire break area, so anything that drops down, it is just going to end up on the soil and is going to smoulder and go out. Just self-raising flour, half and half, wholemeal and plain. Half wholemeal, half plain. Self-raising flour. Just going to rub some fat through it, or in this case, some coconut oil. Just lightens the bread up, I think, to have a bit of oil or fat rubbed through it, just a little bit. And yeah, unfortunately I do that with my fingers, so the idea is just to make a workable dough, so just add a little bit of water at a time.
yeah, the classic campfire damper bread really. Curry tonight, can't do a naan bread, so this is the next best thing. Just put that, don't let it fall over. Precious water. Yeah, don't know if you can see that, but possibly got roughly the right amount of water there, and just work it through so the fresh veg can go in, onions and carrots, into the pot. Now we've finished multitasking the pot to make dough. I'm going to put some cumin seeds in that straight away. Good few of them. The old coconut oil again, just a convenient and easy to carry cooking oil, but also a bit of a moisturising oil as well. Just compared to a liquid, it's probably less likely to spill in your pack and cause havoc. Yeah, that's the idea. The garlic going now. Yeah, the onions have softened up and the carrots are on their way now, so we're going to add some water to that because I've got my usual dehydrated vegetables to go in it as well. A bit more. They can go in. Make a nice, particularly thin sausage shape. Wrap it round. And hope it stays on. Get those on the heat of the fire. The curry powder. I think that might need some more water in it. Yeah, just a drop more water in there. Nice and chunky. Pepper in. yeah, that was another reasonable night, really. It's the wind picked up, strangely enough. I don't think that was predicted. So, you know, the so-called predicted 4 degrees did feel a little bit colder actually with the breeze. It's died down again now in the early hours, but yeah, kept the fire going, the usual system, and ticked through the night. Yeah, disturbed night, but yeah, got some sleep. An hour here, an hour there, you know, an hour and a half here maybe, an hour and a half there. So yeah, it's bright, quite nice and bright this morning, and just starting to slowly break camp.